Great. Thank you, Mayank. Okay. Yeah. So I was talking about this beautiful lecture that Baba wrote in 1955. In fact, when if we see the date, it's 1st January 1955. So in fact, Prout itself was given in 1959. But as we can see from this, discourse that he's already preparing, he's already kind of starting to ask some questions and kind of, giving some ideas, some vision, but also kind of, historically, like he kind of, shares that how society has evolved. If we look at like the traditional systems that we are aware of, and primarily capitalism, communism, they have like a different view of how society has evolved. Obviously it's the material struggle. Most of their kind of evolution is based on the survival of the fittest, means of production, how the economical aspects. But I feel that this is Baba, he starts in the first paragraph with how the Brahma Chakra. He does use that word. So the Brahma Chakra and the macroscopic chitta. He uses some of those words to kind of state at a very kind of high level the evolution of human beings. So he starts with that. Um, and then he ends the first paragraph by saying that the highest living being was called a human being, a manushya, which means an intellectual being. So he says that from the time when he uses some words like uh, macroscopic chitta, and and then how the five fundamental factors, when they came in touch with the powers of Purushottama, the vibrations of life were developed. So the study of this topic is not necessarily going into the depth of the Brahmachakra theory and what it is, but the starting point is kind of he kind of says that how human beings evolved. And then he also talks about the environment in which humans lived when the first living being was born, which is like 100,000 years ago. The first human being that appeared on this earth. That the conditions were so difficult. Environment was brutal, like in terms of the weather, in terms of the animals that infested um, the area at that time. And it was survival. The main goal of human beings at that time was self-preservation and survival. So basically, again, kind of stating that why human beings had to come together. And because that's what he says, that in the next paragraph, that uh, since human beings had to survive through the ruthless nature, the environment was very hostile, and it wasn't safe if like everyone was scattered around, if everyone was doing their own thing. And then there was just no scope for that, because they had to come together to kind of make the individual struggles as a collective struggle. So that was the need. And then that's how they kind of came together for self-preservation. And at that time, the strongest person of the group, he calls it, be it a group or the clan, was worshipped as a hero. And that's what how a Kshatriyan society developed. So basically, if one reads about Prout, Prout talks about the four classes of people, or the four classes, in the sense, not in the traditional sense of a class that sometimes we think about, but also like mental kind of class. I mean, how does one kind of think of one's kind of being in the society? So this was the worship of the hero. The mightiest was the leader of the group. When they formed the group, whoever was mightiest, with the most strength, and that was the development of the Kshatriyan society. But then, as the world moved on, there was the intellect which kind of developed, and very soon they realized that physical might is not adequate for them to kind of continue their preservation. It's about also, you know, intellect, because a lot of the inventions started coming, and Baba says in this lecture that people who invented fire, people who invented weaving, people who came up with domesticating animals for their milk, for their food, for transportation. So these people, started to be known as rishis. So they were now honored in the society. So it started with might, self-preservation, brutal nature, but now they're learning a lot of techniques, a lot of inventions are coming up. As Baba says, the rishis were the harbingers of the new innovation of society. So we can see that now there is another kind of group of people who are leading society. People who have talent, who have capability, and they are known as Vipras, uh, who kind of in those dark ages kind of brought about these inventions in society. And then keeps saying that as the time moved on, human beings were kind of discovering and inventing more and more goods, and now they wanted a way to kind of distribute these goods with the different groups of people that they have, and that's when the Vaishya class was born. So if in a certain group somebody is doing pottery, somebody is um, is somebody is a farmer, somebody is doing weaving. So how do they exchange these goods, which they produce among themselves, so that everyone can benefit from those inventions? So this is where the Vipra class came in, where trade and moving goods from one another. And then basically Baba says that this. I'm sorry. This is where the Vaishya class came into being. And as the world moved on further with more and more advancement, he says that there was money that was discovered as a way to exchange goods. And but basically he says that the Vaishya class is still dominating most of the society today. And he talks about how if whoever has more money, and then money became like a means of physical enjoyment actually. So the more money that you had, so basically you may not be kind of doing any pottery, you may not be growing any crops, you may not be weaving any, but if you had more money, you're enjoying a lot more of those, even though like you didn't have those talents to build that up. So that's where Baba ends that at least from this different kind of classes, how they came up. And then he says that you know will this end with like the dominance of the Shudras, because the Shudras are the people who are just busy with their day-to-day life. They don't have much ambition, they don't want to do much, they kind of live their lives just for today. They don't think about tomorrow. So basically now that all the people who are kind of exploited under the current systems, uh, will if they kind of bring about a change, the Shudras, will that be the absolute truth? So that's the question he asks towards the kind of end of the lecture. Will Shudra society remain as the final order? And with that question, he also kind of proposes that first idea. The way I read it is that you know uh, no social class should dominate. If one class is dominant, the other classes will surely be exploited. So this is to me very, very important. Whoever comes in power, there will be exploitation. So it isn't that there's a specific class of people who will be beyond exploitation. We talk about Prout and Sadvipra society, and the spiritual society will be built, but Baba never says that exploitation will go away. Whichever class will rule, there will be exploitation. He says that there should be like he gives some examples of how artists sportsmen, writers, creators, musicians, how they are being exploited under the, Western society, some of that. And then he also kind of talks about, the ultimate goal of building a society. So that's, to me, was also very important. So he says in the last but one paragraph that, uh, um, unless there is a complete transformation, it will be extremely difficult to lead the whole society to the supreme stance. So the goal isn't about, providing the, minimum necessities of life to everyone. Everyone has a material kind of comfortable life, but that's the goal that he sees, that everyone should have the opportunity to kind of enjoy the supreme stance. And then why some of this is important is that, once we kind of we go into the economic aspects of Prout, we say that there should be a wealth ceiling. There should be kind of, nobody should be able to accumulate wealth beyond a certain level. Ultimately, without knowing why and the metaphysics of Prout, which is basically, why is Prout suggesting what it is? Because the ultimate goal, as per um, Prathaman Sarkar, is that the whole society should get an opportunity to realize that supreme stance. So we have to keep that in mind as well. He says that in a harmonious social order, nobody will run after fame or wealth like a mad dog. The congenial external environment will assist in acquiring psychic balance, and people's internal poverty will be gradually decreased. And then, in the end, he just makes a clarion call: oh, human beings, frame the social structures considering the needs of humanity. Do not try to do anything for your petty personal and group interests. And then, he goes on to say, with a touch of neo humanism, because neo humanism is the metaphysics of Prout, which kind of says why we need Prout, is that rather you should look upon every living being of the universe with sincere feelings of love and compassion. And then, he just ends, with that kind of, spirit, that there should be love for everyone in this universe. So overall, such a beautiful lecture, like, just 3 pages, but it covers like the varnas, how society evolved. He said, what is the goal of human beings or the society, what kind of society we want. So asks a lot of questions, but also kind of, has a touch of neo-humanism as well, kind of preparing, I would say, because this is still 1955, and Prout will come 4 years from now. So he's just still preparing, everyone with, what is coming. So I just wanted to, uh, just, I guess, summarize, and analyze and provide my thoughts on this. And now what, we will do is kind of go around the group, and kind of give an opportunity for everyone to kind of, share, what you took out away from this discourse. And also, I mean, were there any questions, or something wasn't clear? So, how we'll do it is that we'll just go one by one, so that, there isn't like any cross talk or any kind of discussion where aren't able to hear anyone. And then, but if someone has a question, you can certainly raise your hand. But, we'll come back to you when, we have a chance for everyone has been able to talk. So, any questions up until this point? Okay, so I will be going through this list. So the next on my list is Madhusudan. So Madhusudan, you're next. Please share with us, what you took away from this, and anything that you'd like to add to this.
Okay, thank you. Namaskar. Actually, I would have liked to have heard everybody else's comments first. But since you called, I will respond. This is a very interesting discourse, especially since it ends up as being the first chapter of the first book of Supasita Sangraha. And it basically charts out the whole spiritual foundation of Prout that Bob is going to give a socioeconomic program, as you referred to, some years later. But here he's showing that there's a spiritual foundation to that. And that's really important because we tend to overlook that. We tend to look into the economics and the politics and all this. But there's a very strong spiritual foundation to Prout. One of the things I got out of the beginning of this discourse, and Manish, you referred to a little bit, Baba says that the motivity of human development, or of all of the introversive phase of the, as Baba calls the pratisanchara, the evolution of life from the first single-celled organism to humans, the whole motivity of development is attraction for the Supreme Being. And that's completely different from other theories that we've heard. Marx's theory says that the motivity of human development depends on the people's relationship to the means of production. Or the other one, Darwin's motivity of human development is based on the survival of the fittest. But Baba says, no, it's the attraction of the Supreme Being. That's what guides everything. Another point in here that I think was important, struck me, is that Baba made a distinction between Vipras and Vaishyas. What is the distinction? The Vipras invent things, but the Vaishyas take those inventions and put them to work. You know, to me, a really good example of that is Bill Gates, because Bill Gates never wrote any software. He bought other people's software and he put it to use. His genius was the application, not the invention. And there are many, many cases like that. And Baba explained that very nicely. And then I want to get back to something I always talk about. That is, what is the purpose of Prout? What is the purpose of a socioeconomic structure based on spirituality? Is to create an environment where every human being has the opportunity for spiritual advancement. And if we don't do that, if we make life easy for everybody and we create abundance, we make everybody wealthy, but we don't create a proper environment for spiritual development, then we haven't succeeded. And that's really what Prout is about. I'll leave my point there. Thank you.
Okay, Sharada Devi, do you want to go next?
Namaskar.
Please go.
I will just go back to the text. So for me, this text opens more questions actually than it answers. And it answers like a broad questions: what is the purpose of progress of the human being, and what is the essence of Prout? But because it is so, let's say, minimalistic or broad and so early, given so early at the beginning of Baba's mission, it for me poses a lot of questions that I would hope I could kind of we can discuss it. I mean, there are too many questions that I have for today's session, but I will just throw a few. So if we read only this text and we haven't had anything else from Baba about social cycle and evolution of society, wouldn't you agree that we get the idea that actually the first societies in the prehistory, they were some kind of Kshatriyan societies, and then when people started to invent things and get settled in the settlements, then we got Vipras, and then they took over because they were important, and then when they started producing things and selling things, then we got Vaishyan society, and that society lasts till today. I mean, that's, for me, that's impression if I just read this Baba's discourse and I don't know anything else about others. So for me, that's kind of, it's not a problem in itself. We know that that's not like that, but it is the problem that when interpreting Baba's discourse, very often things are not so clear. For example, when it was that Vitran society in the history of humanity, when Vaishyan society became. From discourse, it seems it became at a moment when they started producing things, which was pretty much soon. You know, the first whatever city states in Middle East and in other places that was like many thousand years before, or at least few thousand years BC. So that's one, let's say, question that opens for me. Another one opens something that you both said in a different form, that the purpose of Prout is to, I think you said, Manish, you quoted the part saying to achieve supreme stance, or something like that. I can't find now. That was a paragraph before Abhindranath's quote, I think. Anyway, doesn't matter. And Madhusudana said about the purpose of Prout is to move the society to motivity of the development is towards the supreme being. For me, it seems that Prout, if it's propagated in that way, it's really difficult to propagate it. For me, it's difficult to say to people, the purpose of your living in society is actually to achieve mukti or moksha. I think that's quite, at least tricky way to say to people what is their purpose of life. So I would stick to the sentence that Baba says, that's number 16. Sorry, not number 16. That's paragraph number for humanity to progress. So it's number 13. For humanity to progress, a harmonious social system is most essential. So for me, that's the kind of point of Prout and why the reason which can be presented to the public why Prout is good. So for the humanity as a whole to progress, of course, that could, everybody can understood it in a way, spiritual progress or some other progress, but harmonious social system is essential. And I think for me, that's the most kind of important thing in terms of external world and Prout and propagation. Okay, I will stop now.
So basically, you're saying the time is not ready right now to just say that, you know, the ultimate goal is to attain the supreme stance, but rather that we need a harmonious social order. So you're just talking about at present we cannot do that.
I wouldn't say that it's like, I wouldn't say that the time is not right. Maybe time never will come for everybody to be told you should follow spiritual path or you should realize, you know, like that. I don't think we should tell people what they should do. Like they should come on their own to that and to create society in which people will be facilitated in coming to the realization what is the purpose of life. So in that way.
Okay, thank you for sharing. We'll see if someone else can have something, but we'll come back. So next is Rajendra Prasad. Rajendra Dada, do you want to go next?
Yeah, namaskar everyone. Just I went through this discourse, and of course it is very interesting. Everybody might have found it very interesting. The my takeaway is when Baba is explaining right from the first baby came on this earth, and the kind of atmosphere, and then how society moved further. I think he's saying at one place that last but one paragraph, probably that it is not necessary to study books to know how to work, how to do, and how to retain, and how to renounce. He's giving answer. Rather, you should look upon every living being with of the universe with sincere feeling of love and compassion. So when he says compassion, I think he's adding very clearly the spirituality, and that is why the fundamental we are different. The I feel that Prout must have a spiritual base, and without this, it will look that it is not possible to implement. And I think harmony comes because this word has come. We are the trifarious development is requirements. Our existence is because of the physical, mental, and spiritual beings. But as Baba says, progressive, I take it like everybody has to get mukti or moksha, which I don't know in which words we should tell to the world today. It may not be acceptable in the same words, but Baba says that is the progress. When you take everyone together towards the ultimate goal. But for the ultimate goal, he again says somewhere that physical requirements has to met first. That is what he used the word Sanskrit, asti, and then the mental and spiritual development. So I think he's trying to tell here the entire session. I take it like this. This gives us a feeling that we are fortunate today that we have born in this time, and because we are fortunate, our responsibilities also goes accordingly. So we should be more responsible towards each other. I mean, towards entire society. That is how my takeaway is with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dada. So next we'll go to Brother Mahesh.
Namaskar. Maybe I'll continue a little bit on Sarah Davis' points. For me, also, after reading this, and I think to most of the people here, for us is maybe on one hand quite clear what Baba is trying to say and what he means, why Prout is needed to, as he says, to so that everybody has an opportunity to achieve the supreme stance. But as Saradevi said, that also that thought also came to my mind, and that question, how to what is the best way to present Prout in general and this discourse also, because from the kind of the first paragraph, Baba starts using these words Brahma Chakra or Brahmachita, Purushottama, such words. And I agree what is said previously, that I think that is not the best way to present Prout to the general public, to make that the first step, because that maybe is by default off-putting to a number of people, especially maybe in the West. I'm talking a little bit about also from my personal experiences, just talking with friends and colleagues and in my social circles. Those kind of ideas that are not how to say materialistic. They have kind of a more some idealistic and more spiritual approach that is just by default off-putting to some people. So maybe better way would be to as someone said previously, to the goal of Prout is to create a society so that everybody has the opportunity to achieve the supreme stance. So that is the goal, but the kind of the how to say, the kind of the lower goal is to create the society so that equitable society, harmonious social order. I think that is a better way to approach it, to present it, because it is more palatable to a lot of people kind of, because it's to remove discrimination, inequalities, and to kind of take a more to leave that spiritual part for later. Yeah, that's my the kind of question I'm interested if more people have some thoughts on that, but already a lot of you kind of spoke on that side. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Yeah, we'll just go through everyone. I see we just have like 25 minutes. Hopefully, we can get to everyone. Next is Mayank ji. Do you want to go next?
Namaskar, everybody. Yeah, I was hearing everybody's responses. A few things that I want to point out in the discourse is one thing is that Baba is saying that human beings are the most developed living beings, and one of the words that is used for human beings is manush, which means intellectual being. So as you can see that human beings have evolved in such a way that the intellect has been growing. Baba is pointing out that back in those prehistoric days, the only thing that people cared about was for food and taking care of enemies. That's what was going on in their mind. So they had like a Shudra mindset. But as the time passed, we had these other varnas such as the Vipra class, the Vipra mindset, or the Vaishyan mindset that started developing. We can see the evolution. And now is such a stage that human beings have developed intellectually so much. And I know that a few of our brothers and sisters, they feel that in society currently, we don't have people who can absorb these spiritual ideas. But one thing, if you notice in one of the paragraphs, I think it's page number 4, Baba is saying that cunning capitalists have built a fragile nest from their greedy intellect, just as the weaver bird builds a nest. In the collective interest of all human beings, this nest must be smashed to pieces. Only then can human beings lead the entire society towards supreme good. So right now we have a Vaishyan age where these cunning capitalists have made everybody a Shudra. The only thing that we think about is materialistic objects. So there's no way like spirituality will come into the minds of people. So we really have to get rid of the Shudra mindset that most people have in this age. So capitalists have been ruling. They have this self-centered, mindset. The only thing that they care about is accumulating wealth, and that there's a psychology behind that because all human beings they want expansion. The capitalists want expansion in the physical world, and they think that they'll get like infinite happiness with that, but they don't realize that by doing that they are depriving other people, and also they are sort of stopping the progress of other human beings. So if we get rid of these selfish-minded capitalists, then we will have an age where more people will go on that spiritual direction, and we will be able to implement Prout better. Thank you. Namaskar.
Okay. Next, we'll go to
Manish, sorry, I just wanted to say something. So do we have discussion after this? I mean, ask something. Do we have discussion after that or
yes,
what
yes.
we're going?
I'm looking at the time, but I also want to get to everyone quickly. So, so if we still have like 5, 6 people, so we will have discussion in the end to see like if we have a follow up. So let's quickly go to Sister Vinita.
Namaskar.
And maybe
I'm living in the USA. I'm currently semi-retired in Chicago, Illinois, but I spent over 20 years of my adult life in a wonderful city, university city in Illinois, in Urbana, Illinois, and the environment there was very different. There were many consumer cooperatives. There was a bicycle cooperative, there was an art cooperative, there was a food cooperative, and there was what is called in the United States community-supported agriculture, where you pay in advance to a farmer to grow food, and then for a contracted, agreed upon time, you get for every week a box of fresh farm produce. So it was already a place where cooperatives were not a bad word, where cooperatives were very welcome and very much admired and participated in. And so I've never been officially organizationally involved in Prout, but I have most of my adult life. I tried to live a Prout lifestyle, being involved in food cooperatives, consumer cooperatives, etc. And I'd like to say that that although we have a society where we have very many Shudras now and Vikubdha Shudras, that our goal maybe should not be so much as to destroy the capitalists. That will happen. Baba said the capitalism will explode like a firecracker. But I'd like to specifically address maybe some of the comments by Sharada Devi and Mahesh, that some people are ready for spirituality. I've maintained contact with some of my friends in Urbana, Illinois by Facebook. And recently I was very moved by a quote that's one of my Facebook friends had posted. And let me read you the quote. It comes from the Eco Bible, Volume 1, an ecological commentary on Genesis and Exodus, which are chapters of the Christian Bible. But here's the quote that they posted on Facebook. Gus Speth, the former dean of the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies, says, I used to think that top global environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought that with 30 years of good science, we could address these problems, but I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And to deal with these, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. And we scientists don't know how to do that. And then another one of my Facebook friends posted a comment under this saying that the main problem is capitalism. So some people are starting to wake up. So I found this very significant and very hopeful. And thank you very much. Namaskar.
Next, we'll go to Brother Manavendra.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit late. We share our own reflections about read the text.
Yes.
Okay. I like this discourse. I like Subhashat Samgraha. It is give very high inspiration. And before first years of my Ananda Marga, I used to read philosophical books like Elementary Philosophy, some philosophical thinking, idea and geology, and I was ignoring Subhashi Samgraha. But philosophy is not very inspiring for sadhana. But philosophy give very good terms, keys to understand Subhashit Samgraha. So after philosophy part of my Ananda Marga life, I started read Subhashit Samgraha, and it gave me very good inspiration for sadhana. Even after reading, for example, this first paragraph, there was very interesting sentence. The greatest among those contemplative entities become capable of tremendously accelerating their own individual movements along the path of macrocosmic Pratisanchara. This very inspired me for accelerating myself with sadhana. So it is my own reflection, and I think I think it is not very hard to explain the goal of Prout. The goal of Prout is give opportunity to do meditation for everyone. It is even could be recognized by European or USA scientist, for example, Maslow. He built this pyramid, and the up of the pyramid is this self-actualization. It actually means self-realization, or we can very easily connect it with meditation, sadhana, and the self-development. If you have field problems with food, housing, etc., we will have intellectual problems, ideas, etc. We can also it also could be closet on something like this. So physical, psychic, spiritual levels. If we take slice between intellectual and spiritual, we got aesthetic. Aesthetic is quite good understanding by common people. What is aesthetic? Aesthetic is something very interesting. It's fireable. We can say if we continue this aesthetic, we can say that meditation is a purely aesthetic process. So the goal of Prout is to give the most, as much as possible, higher goal. It means also that we will fill requirements of basics and the psychic levels. And also it is we must have the ideal in our life, because without ideal, there is no movement.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's all my reflections.
No, thank you.
That's my point.
And I'm also trying to do some time management here, so I apologize. So we have 4 more speakers, so we'll just request them to give like maybe short comments. I think maybe in the end, I think some discussion would help. Next one is Brother Krishna. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please.
Yes, I echo Rajendra Prasad's comments about love and compassion. I want to be short because we're running out of time. People should be encouraged to speak just the brief things about and then we can do more in the discussion. So I want to echo Brother Rajendra's comment about the central point of the discourse is love and compassion for all living beings. And that's the thing that we should have regarding the establishment of Prout. That's it. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Next we'll go to Shrija Didi.
Yes. I'll just make it short.
Yes,
See,
please.
I see it in 2 angles. Well, just the questions that was raised by Sharda Didi, that are we really in a position to say this as of today? So I would look at it like in a different way. Like I would say, not for the one who's already struggling. Okay, so if you look at the people in the teens or the ones who are working, they're already into a lot of competition and fighting for survival, because the advancement of technology, they have to keep pace, and the challenge among the present younger generation is too much, because they have to work on their intellect and keep moving, and that challenge keeps them running, and they have to work like, probably if they have to be in the rat race, they have to work about 16 hours. And that is where Baba says you have to make the difference. And he talks about the working time coming down to, like 4 hours a week. I remember reading that portion where today even people can't think something like that. So how does he say that? He says it is through the new humanistic education. So if you give it's as a child, from the day you start, because the education system had already brought us to that. And now to say that, you have to, because I tried this with some of the younger students, and they said, how do we do this? We don't have the time. This is a challenge for every child today. So you have to sit for sadhana. My mind is not there, because they are not used to doing sadhana. They're not used to the meditation, to that extent. So maybe for a Margi child, it may not have been that difficult, but even they have to be in the rat race. You can't, they can't just be that way unless and otherwise the system is already there to take them in. Like I remember, hearing Vimlan Dada's discourse where he said that will be only 10% of the top 10% who will be going into the Sadhitra board. And just what are we saying? Like that means that will be the spiritualists. And I mean, the ones who will really think on the spiritual aspect. And Baba also says 99% spirituality and 1% is theory. So if that is so, then it would be the mindset should be first ready. And that will be the top, I would say academics or every field. They would decide what they really want to, where they really want to go, and then they will take it. So we have to do both together. One answer is cooperatives, where we have the people on the top, the mindset who already there, they're sitting in the board and running the system, but with this through the samajas and this education system, which will get the next generation. So we may not be able to get that in this generation. So we may have to wait for the next generation to really start thinking for it. So it is evolution automatically. So I think that's where the answer lies. So it's not like we have to stop talking about it, but there will be challenges for even these youngsters where they don't have the, at that point, it's still possible because they are into stress and things like that. So it will be possible for us at that point of time to give it to them also. So if we could get the systems in place, I think one thing is about the cooperative and the other answer is about neo-humanistic education.
Thank you.
From me now.
Yes, thank you. We'll quickly go to Sister Margavi next.
Namaskar, Dada. Dada, for me, when when I read that text, initially, like Baba is explaining about environment is hostile to human being. So it's the same thing even here, like in the initial days, like the humans are scattered, and then again due to the hostile environment, and they bring us together. Same thing here right now. The time, place, person is different. Human beings are different. Their interests are different. They are scattered. Again, when they see, there is, we cannot survive if we are in that manner. So we have to be united. When that realization comes, everyone with the sincerity, with the trust, they will come together and they will work for the the work for the human welfare, or like the universe, and they start loving everyone. So that's how I feel, like that's how the Prout will exist, it will come in practice. So they have to see, the people has to realize, what's going on. Then they will come back and they'll they yeah. Yeah, but that's one point. And the thing, one more point was the love and compassion. That part, everyone here, when we are attending this study circle also, we feel for a few seconds, or a few, one day or 2 days, or some months also, but we feel that we should love everyone, or somehow they will feel, they'll have the feeling of, on that day their whole mood will be they fully happy, like that. So if that is continuous, and then they will start realizing to work on the welfare of human beings. So that's how the work will get started, I thought. The
Oh, wonderful,
So,
wonderful. Thank you.
yeah, right now we are just having having a rasgulla in just like that. We are, I don't know how to explain, but in the later days, I will explain more clearly.
Yes,
But
yes.
this is my first yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dada. Namaskar.
Okay, the last one we have is Brother Vimal, and Please, Brother Vimal, your take on today's subject of the study circle that we read.
Yes, thank you. Namaskar. One of the statements from Baba that really stuck out to me, something that was repeated by somebody already earlier, was the line where he says, "The system of divisions and discrimination is like the tightly woven nest of the weaver bird. It must be broken into pieces forever. Only then will human beings be able to lead the entire human race along the path towards spiritual welfare." And I think that one of the theoretical approaches we can take to introduce Prout to society, or to pave the way for introducing Prout, is neo-humanism, as somebody else said, a couple of people mentioned, and that is helping people deeply understand the concepts of social sentiment, geo-sentiment, these different type of sentiments, because take for example the U.S. There's very very deep political divisions, and the race is a big thing in the U.S. There's very deep divisions, and so the idea is one of the ways that we can pave the way for Prout is starting to educate people on how the divisions are created in society and how do we go about remedying them. I mean, I don't want to get into it, and I'm sorry for bringing it up because I know it's sometimes taboo. But look at the divisions within our own organization. If we can't even resolve the divisions within our own organization, how can we pave the way to Prout? So I think one of the approaches to pave the way for Prout is to start educating people on how societies are divided and how do we go about creating unity, fostering those positive sentiments, and yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, no, thank you. Okay, so we have been able to get to everyone. I'll go back to Sister Sharda Devi. I know she's been wanting to come in, and just, no, this is also okay. Madhusudan has his hand up. Madhusudan, you want to go first?
I'll be very brief. First, I'll start with a story, very brief story. Somebody once asked Baba, why did he wait so long to give Prabhat Sangeet? He replied, before you can pour water, you have to prepare the vessel. And I think that's sort of what we have to do with Prout. We have to prepare the vessel that for people to understand what we're saying. The other thing I wanted to say, and this is my personal opinion, in specifically response to Sarada Devi's comment, and that is, Prout is universals to create sadvipras, I believe. And sadvipras are to be guided by spirituality. I don't believe society will ever be guided by spirituality, but the leaders of society can be in their personal lives guided by spirituality. And if the leaders are guided by spirituality, then society will move. But we can't expect society to be following those same sentiments that guide the leaders. Otherwise, everybody would be a leader. But we don't have that situation. So we have to adjust with people's psychology, and Baba gave popular movements and other systems for that.
Okay, I have to come to Sharada Devi. I know she's been wanting to come in. Please.
I would like to suggest for the future to have more time for discussion, because it's like a better use of our time.
Yeah,
I think, and there are lots of things we could discuss, and maybe to moderate as well. If somebody can stop somebody in the middle of the sentence, say this is I think what some of you misunderstood what I meant. I didn't mean we shouldn't promote spirituality, but I think the role of Prout is this, primarily to do something else. And Ananda Marga promotes spirituality and, gets to people who are ready to take initiation, etc. What I have a question for everybody. So in a Proutistic society, well, this is the question for those who would think that the duty of Prout is to bring people to the supreme stance. What will happen with all religions that exist? What would happen with other spiritual paths? I mean, there are many, even within Tantra, within yoga, within Hinduism, there are many spiritual paths. Those paths will not bring people to the supreme stance. Well, I don't know completely for sure that that's the case, but philosophically, it's not possible. But those paths would still exist, even in Protestant society, I think. So if we focus on people turning into margis or bringing them to get initiation or whatever, I think that's the role of Ananda Marga. And the role of Prout is something else. And I'm not completely sure what it is, but there are some really good suggestions, even today in this session, to kind of what we could do in the meantime. Okay.
Wonderful, wonderful. No, everything is really good. What we will do for next time is that we will keep the last 15 minutes for like some more discussion. Because sometimes it's not easy to gauge the number of people in the study circle, how much time they take. So but I think next time we will be certainly managing that piece more closely. So I think some more open discussion is certainly needed, and help for people to kind of express themselves, and then kind of some discussion. We will certainly do that for next time.
Excuse me, Manishi. Can we have a confined group, WhatsApp group? Can we put our questions there and anybody can answer? So let this continue in our group also. So I think we cannot wait for another week.
Yes, I mean that channel is open if anyone wants.
I think.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so we like to. Yes, was there a?
Oh, sorry. I cannot. For some reason I cannot find the hand. That's why I'm doing this. I will try to find it.
Yeah, it is under reactions, Didi.
Yeah, I know, but it's for some reason it's not there. I have all sorts of reactions, thumbs up or whatever, but not the hand.
No problem.
Yeah,
could
and
I Manish, Madhusudan, could I suggest a bit different format? Like we read the text, so nobody, like you don't need to go through the text and explain the text because we do it in advance. So we save like 20 minutes by that. And then we have more time to kind of respond to each other, because I mean, it's good we share, but the purpose really of the study circle is not to share. It's to discuss and to kind of intellectually confront each other if we don't agree, or to clarify to each other what we think, etc. So I think that would be the great platform for that.
No, certainly. I mean, a great suggestion. Yeah, great suggestion. The one thing that I'd like to maybe suggest is that since this is a study circle and we are focusing on one topic, so as much as possible, if we stick to like obviously the topic and then expand based off of what is in the topic, because there could be so much like people I know we have in our minds, and we have comments on so many things from what we have read, but the purpose of this study circle is to kind of go kind of a deeper dive. So that would be my suggestion, because I did hear a few comments or a lot of opinions on like so many other things, but as much as possible, I mean, we stick to.
I agree too. Otherwise, there will be, so many questions. We should confine to the topic we have taken for the study circle. Yes.
Yeah. I think Manavendra has his hand raised up. But so next time, Sharada Devi, yes, we will kind of shorten, like I took like maybe I think 10 minutes or 15 minutes to do that. So we'll certainly try and save that time. So you're absolutely right. We'll expect everyone to read it in advance, and we can kind of quickly go to comments and more discussion. Brother Manavendra.
Yes, I wanted to oppose it to against this idea to read in advance. I mean, we should read in our meeting some part. It is really important because it is dangerous path to not read in the meeting, because by reading we are calibrating our minds. If we read in advance, we can already something forget, something happened, and actually it is not very common event when Tarak Abraham coming to this world and give discourses on Prout. We have great opportunity to read his discourses almost in same as he said. It is a great opportunity, and in 1,000 years, English will change, Russian will change, any language will change, and actually we should utilize this opportunity. And also it's calibrating our minds. And if we go with our own reading, we will bring about our own dogmas, and we will fight, and we will never agree with that. So it is actually saving time to read, discuss in the middle, maybe some part, maybe it's really
Yeah,
working.
yeah,
I
maybe.
conduct. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah, maybe what we could do is we could limit it to 10 minutes or something. Today, I think we had like 15 to 20 minutes of that initial reading part. Maybe we can limit it to a shorter time. That could be done.
Yes.
Yeah,
Agree.
and I'd also like to encourage everybody to log in early. We decided to open up the channel 10 minutes early. So if everybody's online exactly on time, we can start right away without having to wait for people to come on.
No, all points taken. I think we will find a good balance between everything. So no problem. Okay, just want to be respectful of everyone's time. So thank you so much. I personally kind of really enjoyed, listening, from everyone in this group, what they think about this. But I kind of agree. I mean, this is such a great opportunity to read and discuss directly, Baba's one lecture every week, because even I have read Prout, kind of scattered, this topic, that topic, here, there, but this is like a chronological, systematic study. So hopefully it'll kind of help all of us. So, okay, so thank you all for joining, and thank you for your time. We'll keep, any communication going in our group, and then we'll see everyone next week, and the next topic will be sent in the chat itself, but the name of the topic is already in the description of the WhatsApp group. So hope everybody kind of sees that. Okay, thank you all. Have a good rest of the day. Namaskar.
Namaskar.